I feel like there's a stereotype that unless you're a prodigy who started music at the age of 5 or below, that there's just nothing else for you. Unless you fit one of these categories, then you just shouldn't pursue music. I definitely thought this way, but now that I go to music school, I can confidently and fortunately say that that's just not the case. During the relatively little time I've spent here so far, I've already met so many people of different backgrounds. One of them is a self-taught cellist that didn't even have a private teacher until late in high school, and he's still majoring in music, and he is truly one of the hardest working and best cellists I know. Many others greatly considered majoring in something like biology, math, something safe, something they were interested in, and they were even accepted into prestigious colleges, but rejected the spot to pursue music. I know it seems like we're really lucky that we get to pursue our dreams, and we are, don't get me wrong. But that doesn't mean that some of us didn't make sacrifices and take risks in order to pursue this far more narrow, far less stable, but rewarding path. So for today's video, my main purpose is to help those of you that are considering music, who, like me, you're not a prodigy, maybe you started kind of late, or maybe you just were never as talented as the other kids, or that's how you feel at least. So I'm gonna give a little bit of background on myself and my musical journey. I started violin at age 9, which is not too early, not too late. It's kind of like an in-between, but I definitely was not a prodigy. I didn't go off winning awards. I never did those music festivals, those top competitions, or even practiced my scales and had a solid foundation. And why didn't I do these things? The answer is simple, just because I didn't think I was going to go into music. I never took music seriously. It was only a hobby or something my parents forced me to do as a child at most. Growing up, I didn't pour thousands of dollars or hours into this. I felt like people in youth orchestra around me all had musical parents and friends all across the country they had met from various music festivals and camps, and while I found myself loving music, I felt like I could never compare to them. As I approached senior year though, I had to make some decisions. I greatly considered something in the genetics or biology field. I loved genetics so much. I loved learning core classes actually, like language arts, math, science. I really did enjoy those classes. I'm a person who loves balance and having other aspects to my life, so pursuing music seemed like a very narrow and limiting road for me. However, all the other majors were just the same to me. Whether I majored in statistics, biology, math, psychology, whatever, it'd all be the same for me. I definitely wouldn't mind, but I wouldn't be in love with what I do. Meanwhile, on the other hand, I loved music and I knew it'd be different than all the other majors, but I was so scared of failure and was so afraid that I would not be good enough. Like I said, I wasn't a prodigy, and I just didn't think I had that level of commitment or passion to be like the other music majors that I saw out there, or just even my peers who were applying to the same places. All the other kids had been training at age 5 for this moment, and here I was, this 17, almost 18-year-old who was still debating whether I should go into music. However, as I was deciding, my private teacher at the time actually brought up a really great point, and it stuck with me ever since. He said, you can always switch from music, but not to music. You can always switch from music to, let's say, psychology, education, even to pre-med. Actually, that happens more than you think. But you can't switch from another major. Let's say I start with biology. I can't switch from biology to music. I will have lost the momentum I've built up. I will have not practiced as much. I will have lost a lot of skill. It's just insanely harder to switch from another major back to music. So I thought about that a lot, and I think that's ultimately what convinced me to pursue music. Even if it's not forever, even if it's not my ultimate career or whatnot, it's something that if I do now, I won't look back and regret later in the future. Once I was done being wishy-washy with my decision and everything, I fully committed to auditioning. I put my best efforts in and I practiced like I had never practiced before. I joined every opportunity, I took multiple lessons a week, and I know that I'm extremely blessed to have been able to do so. If you are not able to, that is not an indication that you're gonna fail, and I don't think that that's a required step. But anyways, I grinded so hard, and also by God's grace, I am where I am today. So that's how I ended up deciding to do music as a non-prodigy. But now the question is, should you major in music if you're currently deciding, or if you're wondering for a kid or something or someone else? I can't answer that for you. But you can ask yourself the same way that I asked myself, do you truly love music? Especially if you decided late like I did. It would take a huge push to get ready for an audition in a shorter amount of time compared to everyone else. And when you do that, do not focus on the results. I know it sounds cheesy, but if you're in the position that I was when I was auditioning, thinking about the results will just lead you to think about failure, and focusing on that possible failure will lead you to exactly that. So ask yourself this and really believe in yourself. I don't think it takes a great amount of talent or superior complex to be able to major in music, and I'm sure most of my peers would agree with you. But I do think that it takes a very high level of commitment, and it's not something that one should be kind of in between about. For me, even though it's only my first actual technical year here, I don't regret a single minute I've spent so far here. Even if I don't end up being a top orchestra musician or whatever the conventional musician path is, I know that for sure music is not only a passion or a career, it's also a form of self-discipline and character growth. These are assets I believe to be incredibly important no matter which career pathway you take, whichever job you take. Your time won't be wasted here. So anyways, I hope that sharing my story and my musical journey has helped you in some kind of way decide whether you're debating going into music or whether you're just curious about how people end up deciding to pursue music. Aside from the usual prodigy story, I hope that this helped shed some insight for you. So whether you're on this journey of currently deciding between pursuing music, or you've been on this journey, or you're just curious, I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Drop in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.